Hello, Gemini. Thank you for tuning into your love read. I apologize for my voice. It's a little scratchy today, a little hoarse even. For the main part of the read, I'm going to use the Modern Spellcasters Tarot by Melanie Marquis, illustrated by Scott Murphy. For the supportive oracle cards, I'm using the Angel Answers Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. Relationship first. Single second. I'm getting a weird feeling that this one might be a little bit flip-floppy, in the sense of like, I feel like you might be empathizing with your partner a little bit. That's my first impression. Like, the way you're feeling might be eclipsed by how your partner feels a couple times through this. We'll see how it keeps going, but that's what my first impression is. Like, your feelings might be overshadowed, and they may be having such a strong reaction that you're kind of empathizing with them to the point where you feel like you're having the same reaction that they are due to the intensity. Now, this seems to be where it's starting. Is it? Queen of Swords on your side. No. I'm getting this is actually a happy energy. I just get that you're excited about something and you're communicating what you're seeing. You're communicating what you're going to do. I feel like you're setting plans in motion. But I feel like you're inspired, you're excited, things are just going forward. I do feel like you have support outside of your relationship to start what you're doing. I feel like you're a part of something else, and you're a piece of something else outside of your relationship that you're going forward. You're communicating to your partner what's going to happen, that you're excited about it. I do feel like you're excited about it. And I almost feel like you're informing them of what you're about to do. Now, I kind of feel like this is coming in relatively quickly, at least the way your partner's viewing it. Because I feel like you tell them, and then in the challenge section for you, where I'll start with that first, you have the Ace of Pentacles. I feel like you're telling them about something that has actually been in plans for a while, but you hadn't told them till just recently that it was going to happen. You may have mentioned it in passing, but I don't feel like they might, either they don't remember or it didn't really click that there was something that was actually going to happen from it. They didn't seem to take it seriously if it did come up in previous situations. But this does seem to be cementing in fairly soon to them. To them it seems like it's coming kind of like out of the blue. To you, I feel like you're like, well, it's been in works for a while. I just let them know when it was about to happen, and now it's happening. And I feel like it's in the challenge position for you because I do feel like this is actually going to be something you're going to be sticking with for a while. And I feel like that's kind of what the fact that this is Pentacle, Ace of Pentacle, I'm getting the Pentacle feel like that's the challenge for you. To realize, I don't know if you realize it. Do you realize that? This is going to stay this way for a while. This isn't the challenge. So what are you supposed to do about that? Just be aware of it? Because I feel like the way this is coming through is like you have to handle this situation with your partner in a long-term respective way, whatever you're doing to deal with the situation. Because what I'm getting on your partner's side is, to them this is happening really fast. They're feeling like they're outside of the decision-making process, that you're just kind of going forward with what you want to do, and they're just subject to your rule at this time. But they're also trusting. They're trusting that you're keeping an eye out for them too, that you're considering them, that you're looking out for them. Now this is in their challenge position too. Because I'm getting both of these cards actually. 'Cause one of them is actually what's happening. That's the Eight of Wands. The challenge is this one more off. with the sense of the Five of Pentacles. Yep. And the challenge is for them not to allow themselves to be on the outside, that they shouldn't be on the outside of the situation. I'm getting that the way they're viewing it is like there's nothing they can do about it. But in truth, I feel like they should be talking with you more about what you're doing and what's going on and how this is going to affect the relationship. But they seem to be taking like almost like a passive stance on it. Like you're doing what you're doing and you have to let them know when you're ready or when... Like they're feeling like they're outside of it, like they can't get information out of you. They're feeling like they're disconnected from the situation, like they're just subject to what happens next. And I'm getting the truth is they should be kind of digging deeper into this and finding out what's actually happening and what's actually about to happen in the future, where this is going, how long this is going to last, how the two of you are going to work through this to make sure your relationship is still going well while this is in effect. And I feel like because this is your reading, if this is what's happening, it's kind of putting the ball in your court to like start that ball rolling, get them communicating more. Is that true? Okay. Because I feel like there's a challenge here. And I feel like the time you're going to be involved with this, I don't see your partner realizing that. I don't think they're connected with that at all. They're not getting it. And I'm getting at this point, you have two ways this can work out. Because I feel like you know. I do feel like you know. Which I'm thinking that if this is hitting with you, you're like, well, yeah, of course I know. You have two ways this can work out. Handle it in the beginning and start that conversation so you can plan out the long term how this is going to go. Or I feel like as this keeps dragging on, your partner's going to start asking questions like how much longer is this going to go on for? And you're going to have to tell them like how long you see it going for. And either way, it's going to be a moment. It's going to be a rough moment. But I feel like it's worse the longer it goes. It's almost like you're winding up a clock or something, and if you wind that spring too tight, it's really going to snap loud. But if you get it in the beginning, well, it's just kind of got a little bit of oomph behind it. It won't be as bad. Because I'm seeing you at some point with the Two of Pentacles where you're starting this conversation with your partner and letting them know what's happening. Letting them know how long it's going to be. And I feel like you and them are kind of like working out how your relationship is going to handle this situation for as long as it lasts. Because I do feel you have to somehow, either you have to like deal out responsibilities. I feel like that's a big part of it, and like how long and what you're going to do to stay connected and how you're going to converse during this time. When you do this, because I feel like you have to balance it out, you have to tell them what's going on and how long it's going to last. I'm getting the Ten of Swords for them. And I'm getting like... the Ask Your Angels is like they're going to feel really kind of like this is not what they want, this is not what they like, they're not happy about this. The Ten of Swords is typically a devastation card, kind of like flat on your face. And they're definitely not liking it. But I'm also getting here, there's other ways to get through this, to survive through this that aren't as bad. Feeling this way is not helping anybody, but I also get that they're going to have this moment. They have to have this moment, but like they don't need to hold on to it longer than acknowledging the situation. I kind of bit my tongue there, so am I saying that wrong? Okay. They have to, acknowledging the situation? Okay. Because this can be better for them and for you. But I feel like you need to know that they're going to be devastated when they realize how long this is going to go. I don't feel like they're happy about it. They're not okay with it. But there's really, at this point, there's no other way. Like you're involved in something that you have to be involved with. The Ask Your Angels, I feel like it's going to take a lot of sympathy, a lot of emotional coaxing to get this into a better place. But I'm also getting this card is actually saying that this can be a lot better than expected. Now, in the spiritual sense, your partner's feeling like they're stuck. There's nothing they can do to change this. Is that correct? The Two of Swords is telling me like they really don't know what they're supposed to do about it. Like they're just kind of like there's nothing. They're just kind of forced to be in it. They don't want to be in it, but they can't get out of it. I feel like that's where they are. They don't want to be in this situation. They don't like it. They're not happy about it, but they're feeling forced into it. You have the Knight of Pentacles. I feel like you're going to have to take slow steps to make this a little better. Communication is a big thing. I feel like you need to talk with them more and stay on point with what they're going through and how they're feeling and why they're upset. Because I feel like you can help them find other ways to handle things. And I feel like there's things you can do to make things a little easier. Geminis usually, at least the ones I've encountered, are very creative. And I feel like you can find ways that they weren't even considering to work around challenges. So I feel like you can help them. Like you have to keep in contact. You have to keep them talking to like unearth what the problem is. So you can like first identify what it is and then try to find other ways, different ways to handle it. So it relieves some of the stress, especially since it seems like it's more of a long-term problem. Now, you had the Queen of Swords before. I'm seeing you with the King of Swords later. In the sense of like, I feel like you're the one who has to like really be very active with the communication. I feel like you might have to push your partner to be more resolution oriented. I hope this comes across right. Like, I don't feel like you have to bully them into a decision. That's not what I'm saying. But like push them to like not wallow in the sadness, but like move towards like how can we make this better. Like I hope that makes sense. I almost asked you if that made sense. Like you're gonna answer me through the camera. You have to like get them to a spot where they're looking for a way to make it better. They're not just like wallowing in, oh, it's gonna be hell for days and years and months and blah, blah, blah. I feel like you're being very aggressive and like, all right, yes, it's going to be a while, but what are we going to do about it? Here's what we can do about it. Here's the things I've been thinking about. Well, what sounds like it could possibly relieve some of the stress? I know it's not going to be the best. I get that. But let's stop centering on that. Let's start centering on what can make this easier for both of us. And I feel like when I have the King of Swords here, you have to be a little dominant with like pushing towards resolution, towards things going better, pushing away from things that are making it worse. Because I feel like you're forcing them into a position of strength. Because they still have a lot of strength there. They still have a lot that they can do to make this better. I just feel like you have to constantly remind them and keep pushing them in a direction to make things better instead of centering on what they don't want. Now, there's going to be a lot of contemplation time on both sides, because I feel like you keep having to push them into a positive direction. And I feel like after you've done that, like when you're not conversing with them, you have to like kind of mull it over yourself and on other ways to handle this so that they keep going in a good direction. I feel like you're very conscious of that, like you can't let this backslide. On the other side, I feel like they're also thinking things through and they're also realizing, all right, yes, this is going to go for a while, but they're realizing you're giving them options to make this better, and I feel like they're thinking about what option sounds best to them. I feel like they're getting some control back here. This is where they're feeling stronger. This is where they're really starting to feel stronger, because I feel like you're dominant, like pushing them towards like resolution, like making things better. They seem to gain more strength by seeing all these options you're giving them and being able to choose the option that's best for them. That's where you're strengthening them, because you're keeping them going in a good direction, but you're like, here are the options I'm seeing. What do you think about these? And they're like, you're giving them these options to mull over and like, well, I kind of like this. Well, what about that? Well, let me think about this. Like, I feel like they're definitely getting more strength because you're giving them options and they get to choose what's going to work for them. And you're like, I'll go along with any of these, just what works for you. That brings a lot of strength back. Now, this seems to be what makes things better. Yeah, listen to your intuition with the Death card. I'm getting that this actually like this moves on quicker than expected. I feel like you're let free of this obligation a lot sooner than you're expecting. Really? Okay. Now they're saying listen to your intuition because I feel like I'm also seeing this death card like you want. I do feel like you want that. Is that correct? They're like, I'm not getting a good thing with that. So like, is this kind of like it's just kind of happening, or you're trying to make it happen? It's just kind of happening. All right. So I originally thought maybe you were going to try to make this happen. They're like, no, no, it's kind of happening. So I do feel like this is ending sooner than expected. But the listen to your intuition is like you could see this kind of coming. But I feel like more off the listen to your intuition is saying realize that this is actually better for you for your relationship. That's where the listen to the intuition pops in. I feel like this is better for your relationship with this person. Now I'm seeing on their card the of Swords. Now I feel like they're looking at the situation at this point as in something that they handled they really could have done better. I feel like they're looking back on how the whole thing went, and they're feeling like they really just could have handled it a lot better. Um, are they feeling responsible? No. Okay, good. Where is this going? Because I'm trying to connect to this card, but I feel like they're looking at the past with this situation like this didn't work out. Like the fact that the situation ended. I don't feel like they're they don't feel good about that. And I feel like they may have pressured somebody or something. Almost like they pressured this, like they made their feelings known. And that's kind of part of the result. Are they partly to blame for you being out of the situation? I feel like somehow they're unhappy with what you're a part of, and I feel like that they vented that information somehow, and they feel responsible that you are not in that situation anymore. And I feel like there's remorse here. Like they feel like that's why. That's a part of why. Like that factored in. They feel like that factored in. They don't feel like I don't know about the word responsible because I don't feel like that's right. But they feel like the way they kind of went on about it. How are they? I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to say. Give me a little more. I'm getting that this ended on you prematurely. And I feel like the way that they've been handling it up till this point, they're looking back like they could have been a little bit more supportive. And that because they were having such a hard time with it and they were so centered about how hard this was for them, that they weren't seeing what you were going through at the time. Because I'm almost getting like when you end up falling out of this, you're kind of like, well, I guess you're happy now because I'm not a part of that now. And I feel like they don't feel good about that. I don't feel like they don't feel good about that. Like I'm getting that over and over again. But this seems to help. Like I feel like as the way they handled this, they're looking back like they could have done better. Like they could have communicated better. They could have been more supportive to you. Almost like they're looking back on it like you needed more support and they were so wrapped up in their own sadness about what was happening that they completely neglected the support you needed. I feel like they're looking back with remorse, like they wish they handled it differently. This seems to be helping the situation because it's like a reference point for the future. Like when these situations come up again, they'll like reference this and be like, you know what, I don't want the same outcome. And maybe if I just center on my partner a little bit more, this doesn't have to be bad for either of us. Because I feel like after the fact, they're realizing that you didn't like the time away from them either. So I feel like they're addressing this and they're just looking at it with a different set of eyes, if that makes sense. Are we done with this? All right. The way this ends, because I feel like you have an abrupt ending in a sense. Like it just, I don't feel like you're expecting it to end when it does. And I feel like they're feeling bad about it because they're looking at it like you had challenges going on and that maybe you needed to vent more during this time, but they were so centered on how bad it was for them that you never got to say what you were going through. You never got to vent or talk things out. They're feeling like they could have been there for you. And I feel like that's a problem for them at the end of this, like they're regretting that they weren't connecting with your feelings more. Okay, I'm going to let that go there. Let's do Gemini singles. Gemini singles. Single Gemini. Okay. Messages for single Gemini. Messages for single Gemini. Empowering messages to help them move forward in the way they want to go, to help them see what's going on, and to move forward accordingly. Okay. All right, so single Gemini. Now, all right, I get that there's a person here, but I'm just wondering if they're explaining how they're relating to you or how you're relating to them. Now, in the past, I have the King of Swords. It also comes through with Ask Your Angels. And that's an interesting card because I feel like that's looking at the past of this person, and there's something you can really glean from this. I realize that this may not be likable, but I feel like there's something about this person that I'm getting there's something here that you're not seeing as a point. And I feel like there's something you don't want to see here. Because this person, I'm getting like this, somebody's a very, I'm getting somebody's kind of harsh. And I don't feel very empowered by this situation. I feel like somebody's very demanding, very restrictive, almost kind of militant here. And I feel like this energy is coming into the future. Well, your current, I should say more the current time. And I'm getting the same person is coming toward you very aggressively and ending any connection with you. They're just cutting you loose. They're just like, I feel like you might have been seeing somebody like casually dating for a while. It may have been like a friends with benefits. May have just been like once in a while just going out on a date, hanging out. But I'm feeling like they've got to the point where they've decided this is not what they want. I'm getting it's very cold. I'm just getting it's kind of, they come off very matter of fact, and they're ending the situation. They're just cutting you loose. Now, I'm getting that energy with this person. I'm getting you like this person though. And I'm getting this Ace of Pentacles, like, I feel like something's already taken hold in your heart with them. No, with you. For them. With you for them? Okay. Oi. Here's where the burps and the hiccups and all the other good stuff comes in. I have Pentacle energy at the top and the bottom for you. I feel like you've kind of already... I feel like you've already have, like, a heart connection with them. From you towards them. I don't see them really... Well, they're not reciprocating it, that's for sure. I don't feel like they're even willing to acknowledge it if it's there. If it's there. They've already, like, cut the cord, we're done. And I feel like it's just, like, it's very matter of fact. I don't feel like they're even acknowledging your feelings in this. But when I get the Pentacle energy, you got the Knight and you got the Ace... I'm getting like you're already feeling like this is something you want. I just don't. I'm trying to connect. Like, is this gonna let go, or is this? Because I feel like this is something you're having a hard time letting go of, and you're trying to like hold on. I feel like this person's coming towards you very coldly, very matter of factly. But when they're doing this, I feel like you're taking it as if they're in a bad mood and they don't really mean it. And that's why we have the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom, because I feel like you're already feeling like, sometimes you have breaks in this situation, but it doesn't last, and you're thinking it's going to come back. And I feel like that's why the Knight of Pentacles is at the top. You're willing to wait it out. You're just like, it's going to take some time, but this person will come back. He, she, they, however it's working out, they're going to come back. They'll be back. That seems to be how you're taking this. Like they're just having a bad mood. They're just being a little crass, but they'll be back. They'll come back around. It seems to be that's where you're standing with this. That's how you're taking it. I'm getting the High Priestess in the future for you. Kind of like you're looking at the situation like this person really is not communicating with you, connecting with you in any sense. But you're still like, yeah, that's okay. It's like this is the bad part of the situation, but it'll come back. It'll balance out. It's weird because the High Priestess is usually somebody who accepts the good and accepts the bad and brings them together and tries to move forward into the future in a positive way. I feel at this part you're accepting the good or the bad. Like this is the bad, but you're not seeing what the truth is of that bad. Because of that, you have a different version of the good. Like the good is when it's going to come back around. I don't feel like that's truly the good here though. Because when I'm getting the High Priestess, I feel like she's trying to pull forward. Like she's trying to pull forward to tell you like this is not a good situation for you. She's trying to push forward like why you should like distance yourself from this. This is your chance to walk away from this unscathed. Well, I shouldn't say unscathed. This is your chance to walk away from it and end a bad situation for you. But I feel like you're kind of resistant to it. There? Okay. Because I still see you waiting after this. This is where you're standing. I see you're waiting. You're feeling it's a good situation for you, but you're not happy about the waiting. But you're feeling like you have no choice but to wait for this person to come back around. Now, this seems to change. In only the sense of like your attitude towards it. You don't want to wait. You get you get this thought in your head like, you know what? I know that they were just having a bad mood, so why don't I just go towards them so we can acknowledge that, get things back on track to where they usually are. I feel like that's where you're going with this. And I feel like you're trying to go towards this person, but you're not having an effect. I'm getting with the Knight of Wands with the Four of Cups. Like you're going towards this person, you're trying to get their attention, but I just feel like they're either walking away from you or you're just missing them. They're not calling you back. They're not responding to you. If you seem to see them out, they're like, I don't want to talk right now, and they're just like no, and then you're just kind of like all right, and then you try again, but I feel like they're constantly shutting you down. They're just not responding or they're shutting you down. One of the two. If you are seeing them in person, they're shutting you down. They're just like no, and if you're using other methods to contact them, they're ignoring you, flat out ignoring you. I'm getting that the Strength card on their side is telling me that they've decided this is the right thing to do, and they're sticking with it because they feel like this is what they want. They don't want to be a part of your life. They don't want you a part of theirs. The Strength card is telling me that they're very stubborn about this and they're not backing down. It wasn't just a bad mood. This is just really where they stand. And I feel like this isn't going to stop. Like, it's not going to stop. Like, don't stop. I get in their card, like, they're not going to stop. And I feel like this could linger on for a few months. In the sense of, like, I don't feel like they're even going to talk to you for a few months. They're not going to acknowledge you. You're not getting anything out of them for a few months. But when they do, if they do, they're going to stick with the same thought. Like, they don't want to be a part of your life. They don't want you a part of theirs. I apologize because I feel like that's rough. The thing is, I feel like as these months go by, I feel like that's where you start to realize that this is just not going to work out, and it starts giving you that moment to where you can start to like accept what the situation is. I don't feel like this is a good situation for you anyway. I just don't feel like this person's really nice to you anyway. If this reading is hitting with you, I don't feel like this person is really that nice to you anyway. And I feel like detaching from this is actually more healthy for you. I'm not saying you're going to agree with me on that, but the way if this is really hitting with you, like this is making sense, I really don't feel like this person takes your feelings into consideration, and they haven't been. I just feel like you're just gonna be left in the lurch. Hopefully, because I'm seeing when the High Priestess comes in the future after this person, like it's this person tells you like no more, I'm done, we're not gonna do anything together anymore. Soon after that, the High Priestess shows up and she gives you this opportunity to cut now, to just accept it and let it go. This opportunity is coming towards you, and it's up to you whether you take it or not. I'm feeling like this could negate the rest of this. Like if you accept this at this point and just move in another direction, it'll be a lot easier for you, because that's the whole thing. One thing I like to use when there's somebody in my life that I need to stop thinking about or feeling for. Paul McKenna is a British author I like. I Commend Your Broken Heart could help you do that. You could use that at this point. You might be surprised how much you get your feelings back under your control instead of your emotions leading you. If this is hitting with you, if this is a problem for you, you might want to do that. Because I'm getting like soon after this person cuts ties with you, you're going to have those thoughts or those feelings like, maybe this is a good time for me to just to move on. Because you don't deserve to be treated like that anyway. If somebody tells you they're done, even if they're just playing a game with you, is that really a game you want to play when somebody just kind of discounts your feelings and just kind of throws you to the side because they're having a bad mood? Even if you want to believe that, like that's still not fair to you. And you might want to let go of it for that reason, of course, if this is hitting with you. Now, they're saying if you do that, you separate from this and you accept that, you move in the other direction, you're still going to have the Knight of Wands with the Four of Cups, but this could be more empowering in the sense of like you're moving on. If this goes in your direction, like you're moving on, and you have this contemplation time. This contemplation time is like, what do you want next? What about the situation how would you have liked it to work out? Somebody who considers your feelings is probably a good one, if this is hitting, of course. Someone who isn't maybe, I feel like you might like the strength this person had. I just feel like if they have that strength and they care about you and consider you, that would probably be more beneficial. And I'm getting that that's where this card works to your benefit too. If you step away and you just move on, you start centering on like what do you want instead of like being acceptive of this situation. Just what do you actually want? You might even want to like write it down. I hear that works for people. I've never really done it, to be honest with you. I probably should. Just like what characteristics did you like of this person? What other characteristics would you also have liked to have seen? You know what I mean? Strong personality, strong communicating skills, cares about how you feel, looks out for you. Those might be like the last two might be ones you want to look at. You want to add to the situation. All right. I think I'm going to stop harping about this and end this here. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, if you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com, james4astral@gmail.com. Thank you.